My hero story takes place kind of whenever I started college. A big part of what contributed to my hero story is just me being able to move out of home. Me personally, I'm from Houston, Texas. It's the third largest city in the country. And so with that being said, it's not common, and especially the area that I came from, it wasn't common for you to see people going to college out of state, let alone going to college at all. Like out of my friend group, I'm probably one of the only ones out of like maybe 5, maybe 2 to 3 out of 5 of my friend group went to college. And so for me to take that step and actually move out of Houston to a whole nother state by myself, I feel like that kind of created a heroic story for me, because there are a lot of times, like I come from a community where it's very rich in history, arts. However, because of the demographic, a lot of times we could be brainwashed to believe that our dreams can't go any further than where we are right now.
My hero story is when I went to Africa. It was a time that I never really expected to experience, you know. I lived in New York all my life, and then all of a sudden, I just got shipped off to Africa. It was something I didn't really want to be a part of. You know, even though it was my own culture to be in Congo, it just wasn't something I never really expected myself to be a part of. But, you know, I spent 3 years there, and I realized I had to make a difference. It was just, I realized my own, I would like to say, my own wealth. It was something that I didn't really determine that was just bigger than everybody else's, because it was a community that was in poverty. It was a community that I used to see every day where people had to starve. They were unable to eat certain things. It was just overall a negative community that I felt like that I had to change.
My hero story took place last week in New York, and it's when I went to the grocery store. It was really a gas station, and I went in there to get something simple, wanted to get a little slushy, and there was a homeless man in there. He was trying to buy a beer. He asked me if I had $1. I gave him $2 to go get the beer, and the beer was like $3.75, of course, in New York, because everything's super expensive. And so when I was ringing up my slushy, I just went ahead and just covered his beer too and let him keep the $2, and then he was able to get some chips and a drink. So that just made me feel good, because there's so many homeless people in New York, and I was happy to be able to bless at least one of them that day with just a small token.
My hero story is about my sister and like the relationship I have with her since coming up to the United States for college. To my sister's 7. I'm 19 right now. So I'm like a third adult in her life, a third parent. And just being up here in college and following my dreams and passions, I'm like a role model or like an idol to her.
My hero story is when I first started DJing when I was 12. I didn't really believe in my craft, but my mother did. She stepped in, she bought all my equipment within like 3 weeks. And I started, I say like the next 2 months, I started with weddings and birthdays and stuff like that. She pushed me more than I pushed myself. And as I got older, I realized I really appreciated what she did for me. And so I wanted to give everybody else that same opportunity. When I started high school, I started up this company called Laboratory Records, LLC. So it gave people who wanted to become a rap artist or who wanted to learn how to DJ or even make beats or host. I gave them the opportunity to learn from me, and it was really fun. We traveled. I was in New York. I also did some things around South Carolina where I'm from. So I think I really want to say, like, my mom pushing me to become who I am today helped me to have the courage to want to help other people become who they are today.
My hero story is this past summer, I had the opportunity to work with my aunt at her tutoring center. I can distinctly remember from about preschool all the way into about 8th grade, where she taught me math, science, English, all the fundamental things that I use now as an engineer at Morehouse. So when I had the opportunity of working with her at her tutoring center this summer, I thought it was a great opportunity to sow back into kids' lives who I believe are also going to be the next engineers, doctors, lawyers, and entrepreneurs. So I took advantage of that, and I enjoy working with the kids that I got to work with this summer.
My hero story is whenever I go and visit my hometown, I make a point to connect with and lift up the young black girls in my area, just because it is predominantly white, and I want to make sure that they don't have the same experience that I did.
My hero story is it started about a year ago. Just for some context, I was in high school, was involved in organizations and whatnot, getting ready to graduate. At February 21st, 2021, I lost my mother, and at the time it was a huge impact to my life. I didn't know if I was going to be able to complete school, let alone get into the college that I wanted to, but with the strength that she gave me and the big community around me, I was able to finish. But that's my hero story.
My hero story began the first time I traveled to the country of my ancestors, Campbell in Africa. And I was surrounded by people that I've never met but I knew were family. And I was there to celebrate the funeral of my grandmother by way of my stepmother. And we were celebrating her life. And in that moment, well, that night for that celebration, you stay up all night and you're just with family and you sing and you dance. And that moment really taught me the values and the morals that I feel like I have today, especially as a Black woman living in America. I feel like there are things or places that I have been where I wasn't always taken in with open arms in the same way that I was when I went to the country of my ancestors. And I just remember feeling like they were actually my heroes because they really represented the values that I hope to have today, even though I am living in a place where I feel like a lot of us are very focused on what we have and how much money we have and like worried about what we're going to do in our futures, when what I learned there were the values of family and connections and community, and that those are things that come for free but just mean so much to me. And so I hope that I can stand as a reminder that there's so much more to life than the material things that we put so much praise on, or how many followers someone might have, or anything that has to do with things that you can buy. I feel like there are so many things that we take for granted, like the connections that we have with our family and the time that we spend with people, because we don't always have so much time. And so I hope that I can stand as a reminder, as someone in this life who values those things. And that's my hero story, coming from heroes who taught me this.